Welcome to episode 10 of For the Love of the Game interview series. This interview series brings on players, coaches, and other professionals in the sports industry. For episode 10, I'm very excited to bring on a very special guest. Fresh off winning the 2023 AfroBasket with the Nigeria national team, and recently accepted a job with the Stony Brook women's team as well to be an assistant coach there. So I'm really excited to bring on Rena Wakama for episode 10. How you doing, Rena?
I'm awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. I know you've had a very busy past month. You guys go on and you end up winning AfroBasket. It's the fourth straight time that Nigeria has done it. They've really put hoops, become a hoops nation, really, to say it, and kind of steamrolling through the competition there. Was there ever any doubt during the tournament that you guys were going to be able to finish the job?
Man, so the first two we won easily, but that third game against Mozambique was probably the toughest. I think we got down double digits, and it was the first team that played us man. We saw a lot of zone in the first two games, so it was the first time I got to see my girls go up against some pressure and some man, and they responded well. We were able to fight back and win by 7, I believe. But at that moment when we overcame that, I knew I had a special team.
How do you deal with the expectations? You come into this role, you get announced literally in late June. Now, flash forward now to the end of July into August, you find yourself involved in the biggest basketball competition on the continent. What could you talk about in terms of the preparation of that and really just trying to handle expectations given that you were new to the role?
I mean, honestly, I just had to put my head down and work and just trust that, whatever results that came out was my best. I knew I was going into it like, hey, I don't care what they've done in the past. I'm focused on right now. And when I'm able to focus on that, usually great things happen. Yep. But I didn't put too much pressure on myself or my staff or the girls. We kind of just, got to work. I let them play basketball, and I also wanted them to enjoy the moment. Sometimes when you think too much about this, that, and the third, think about the pressure, you end up folding, right? So just enjoying the moment, that was key for me to keep the girls loose and free to be able to go on that run that we went on.
So your parents come from a small village called Okrika in Nigeria. That's your connection to the country. You also represented the national team as well. So you're familiar with hoops in the country. You played there. I remember reading a story when you first your mom got you into basketball growing up, and you shared that story with the reporters there. Can you really talk about kind of your connection to kind of the hoop scene there, and when did this become a dream for you to lead the Nigeria national team?
It's always been a dream. One thing about my parents, they always made sure I knew where home was. So although I was born in North Carolina, I knew about their roots, and I would go often. So when I would go home, which is I call Nigeria, I would obviously spend time with my cousins and just kind of watch. Obviously, the courts weren't as nice as they were in the States, but I would kind of always envision myself like, what can I do? What can I bring back? How can I elevate what's happening in Nigeria with my talents and my gifts? So I always, tell my kids now that I coach, and like, you're extremely blessed. Some kids don't have good shoes or a good arena to go and play in, or teams. So I was kind of use that as a reminder that, hey, it's always bigger than basketball. And I knew that when I got to a point that I could give back, I wanted to somehow, some way. So it happened really quickly. I'm glad it happened when it did. But I'm just getting started. So I'm excited for the future.
4-year standout at Western Carolina. You had a great college career, ended up going play in Europe for a professional career. And then you end up also having the opportunity to play for the national team. Can you talk about the transition from playing Division I hoops to then going to play professional, and then also for the national team? Talk about the adjustment in game from the college hoops here to the international game.
Yeah, it's extremely physical. The physicality overseas it's something that I underestimated going into it. I didn't realize it. because everyone's big, fast, and strong. Everyone has probably played in college, and these are pros, right? These are pros. So like the physicality of the game, the focus level. There are a lot of great players overseas, and basketball is evolving. And, you know, before America used to kind of be the forefront of it, but other countries and other nations are coming up. So it's interesting to see the different styles of basketball, like the European game, obviously the African game, the American game. It's interesting to see like it kind of all come together. But yeah, it's extremely physical. When I was playing in Europe, it was extremely highly skilled and fundamental. There were some great players there as far as like IQ wise, but I think the biggest thing for me was the physicality and matching that.
2023, Rena Wakama comes onto the scene, captures the hearts of the nation. Can you talk about what it meant to not only be part of the winning team, but also to kind of represent, you know, just how far the game has come, the women's game has come?
I have it. When people say it, I'm like, wow, Rena, you did that. Because if you'd asked me a couple months ago, I would have never in a million years thought I would be here in August. But it's just a testament to God and you know, my faith, and just anything can happen. You know, when you do things the right way, when you keep your head, keep your mind on the main thing, which is my dream, anything can happen. And there were a lot of doubts with me getting this job, a lot of doubts seeing if I can do it. And I'm glad that I was able to get it done with great people around me.
So the college game is obviously a grind. You go from, you know, being an assistant at Manhattan to then you're vaulted here on the international stage in Africa, in Rwanda. Get the chance to be a head coach for the first time ever. You know, for selfish reasons, just because how special that is. Really, how special was it, and were you able to soak that all in to get that chance to be the head coach and to be in charge? How good did that feel?
Life-changing. It was like I got a glimpse into my future and where I was going, right? I got to live in it for a couple weeks, right? So now I'm coming back to be an assistant. I'm able to use that experience to be a better assistant coach, right? It's like I got a chance to audition at it, do it, win, be successful, and now, you know, I'm back to even be better. So it was like God said, hey, I'll give you a quick taste of your future, but you know, this is where you're going. So it was amazing, life-changing.
Is there any difference in your style, whether you notice it internally or from yourself, or from what maybe some of your peers tell you, from you know, as an assistant coach to as a head coach?
Oh, I think I got the same thing. Everyone knows I'm very passionate. I can be very fierce. I'm gonna work. One thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to outwork my opponent, and I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna back down from any fight. So if you watch the games in AfroBasket, I think my girls display that. I think my coaching style displayed that too. So I think I got similar comparisons as assistant and as a head coach.
So the party didn't stop on the court in Rwanda. You guys also visited the First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, once you returned, and then also it sounds like you guys had a fun flight back. I saw some of the scenes on social media. How surreal was the aftermath?
Man, the love and the support. The love and the support in the women's game overseas is amazing. Like that championship game was sold out. And the BK Arena is a humongous arena. That's where the BAL is played, the NBA African League. And for that many people to come out for the women's game is special. And that tells me that this is just the beginning. Imagine where it's going to be in 5 to 10 years as the game continues to evolve, as more people are paying attention to it. But one, that was special. Two, we got a chance to go to the villa, and the villa is the White House in Nigeria, like you said. And being able to get that recognition speaks volumes too, because if they can see us do it, and, you know, me being the first woman and I'm young, that makes them want to, you know, put more energy and resources behind sports in Nigeria. So, remarkable. It was definitely, like I said, life-changing, and I'm looking forward to the future.
All goes according to plan. One of the big things, hopefully coming up in the future, would be a spot in the 2024 Olympics, which would
Yes.
be the dream, Paris. How special would that be, and how often do you think about it? I know you're still trying to process it all, but how special would that be to be able to lead Nigeria into the Olympic Games?
Like I'll say again, life-changing. I know obviously I'm coaching for a reason.
Yep.
And to be able to achieve something like that, just, man, it will be amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to work towards it, and I believe we can get it done.
You come back and you're adjusting to another new position. You're an assistant coach at Stony Brook. Ashley Langford brings you on ahead of her third season in charge. Stony Brook has had a remarkable first 2 seasons under her leadership. Also, before last season, switched to the CAA conference. So you now come into a new school, new conference, being an assistant coach. Why was this the right fit for you?
Just wanted to pivot a little bit. I wanted a new challenge. First of all, big credit to Heather Volin. That's my girl for life. And she was able to give me my first start and just kind of let me grow under her. But obviously going to the CAA is definitely exciting. I'm able to recruit a different pool of kids, having access to a little bit more resources, obviously. And just like I said, I'm always up for a challenge and I want to grow and get better. And I felt like Stony Brook was a perfect school to kind of get uncomfortable. You know, you don't grow unless you get uncomfortable. So different coaches, different coaching styles, different league. And I'm looking forward to just learning and being a sponge.
It is different, but also conversely, it is still the mid-major level. And you come from a school that had success reaching back-to-back MAC championship in the Jaspers. In terms of that, just going from one mid-major school to the other, how much are you looking forward to kind of bringing that kind of mentality and what you learned from Manhattan to Stony Brook?
Yeah, very much so. Very much. Coach Ashley, too, comes from a rich history of winning. At JMU, they won a lot there. So I'm like I said, I'm looking forward to learning from her as well. She's had a lot of success being a young coach too, and just kind of collaborating and seeing what we can do. I think it's very powerful when, you know, like minds come together. And like I said, Coach Ashley's a brilliant basketball mind. I've realized that in the past 3 weeks I've been working with her, and she's just getting started in her journey too. So I'm looking forward to, you know, helping her achieve her goals as well.
In terms of summer practice, what have been some early observations from this upcoming Stony Brook women's team?
Well, we work. And it's a lot of fun. We've got a lot of talent, a lot of new faces. They're doing a lot of great things in the athletic department, which is fun to see. There's a lot of support, especially around women's basketball. So it's a mid-major school, but they treat it like a Power 5. And it's going to be amazing what we do this year and hopefully in the years to come.
Stony Brook added a couple of transfers over the offseason. Nowadays, the transfer portal has gone berserk. Obviously, the number of entries into the transfer portal, it seems like it's growing every year. And that's been a constant really ever since coming out of the pandemic, it seems like. How much more challenging has that made your job? Does it feel like a nonstop grind?
I think it's actually helped. It helps. I mean, obviously it's a little tedious, but to be able to, you know, go and get a kid that, and maybe it didn't work out at St. John's, maybe it didn't work out at Seton Hall, but still a great player, or even not even that, maybe a kid that, you know, was at Merrimack or a lower level that prove, or Division II, that can prove themselves as a legit scorer, a legit contributor. It doesn't have to only be the Power 5s are coming down. Sometimes we pull up too. So I think it's a great thing. It helps the game if you use it the right way.
So you come from a background in which you had professional experience. And I'm sure as a coach, that's the end goal for a lot of these players. You want to get them to the level of doing that. What steps do you take in order to do that and share your experiences of being a professional player and hopefully seeing them, you know, go into those shoes one day as well?
I can give it to them because I was there. And sometimes kids respect that when they know you've lived it, when they know you've done it, know you can do it. So, you know, I still get out in the court and show them how drills are done. I'm very connected with them in that aspect. And I think me too, coaching now, being a head coach for a national team also adds another layer of, you know, respect and experience for them to pretty much, validate. But yeah, it's just pretty much just I've been there, I've coached there, and I know what it takes to get there. So, you should listen. You should listen to me. But it's I have been blessed with working with phenomenal girls. My girls in Manhattan were phenomenal. Girls at Stony Brook have been great so far. So the girls are never the issue in this game, which is a great thing.
One thing you didn't get in the MAC that you're going to get in the CAA is some presence in the Carolinas. There's a ton of schools down there, a few schools that you'll be playing against. How special is that homecoming going to be, and are you already circling those dates?
Man, I'm super excited. I think, it was great too coaching with the national team because my mom has never seen me coach before, and I've been coaching for 6 years, and she's never had a chance to make it to a game. So when I was in Rwanda, my mom was at all my games pretty much. And when I get back to North Carolina, my friends and family there can watch me coach. So I'm super excited. We'll probably have about 4 games in North Carolina over the years. I'm not sure about this year, only one this year. But Campbell, UCW, Elon, and A&T are all in North Carolina. And that's where I'm from. So it'll be great.
Let's go back to when you first developed the love of the game. Can you share that and really any one moment stand out in particular?
Yeah, my first basketball. I think I shared this before. But my first basketball was probably so raggedy, had no grip. Seams were bursting out, and I loved it. I found it at a yard sale, and I probably had it for majority of my career until I recently lost it. But yeah, that ball, I slept with it, went everywhere with it. My mom probably hated it because I broke things in the house trying to dribble it. But that's when I fell in love with the game. Just watching my uncles play and hoping I could play with them one day. I finally was able to, start beating them. But just, being a kid, enjoying the moments, just figuring out, different moves to do, just shooting all day, rain, sun, snow. I was outside hooping. So those are the memories that I'll cherish forever.
At Manhattan, you were the director of basketball operations, then become the assistant coach. I'm sure on the radar someday the dream would be to become a Division I head coach. And, how much of the experiences that you had at Manhattan and now that you'll likely have at Stony Brook and then also from this summer coaching Nigeria, how much has all of this been so helpful in terms of you getting closer to that goal, and how close do you think you are?
It's been extremely helpful. And like I said, I got a glimpse and the taste of what it's like for 3 weeks. And it kind of just gives me a different perspective. Like sliding over to that seat, there's so many things that are on your plate that you don't know as an assistant. There's so many different things you have to look at as a head coach that you may not as an assistant. So I was able to obviously work for Heather for 6 years, and she handled it like a rock star. So I'm definitely prepared. And obviously Ashley's great too. But I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. Obviously I showed I could do it and win. And winning is very hard. People think it's easy. It's actually very hard. But I think I'm definitely ready.
So I'm sure when you're in the Dobo role, at Manhattan, it requires a lot of planning and a lot of, scheduling different things, team activities, service activities. I know that, you were part of a lot of Manhattan teams that were very giving back to the community in Riverdale. When you're coaching the Nigeria team and you come from that experience and you're trying to connect with these players, in terms of off the court over there, how were you able to bond? In what ways?
Little things. We ate together. I made them do fun activities together. I had about 8 days to get these girls as close as possible. So we literally spent so much time together. They would, hang out in their rooms, play games, did, like I said, activities, but just spending time. And it can't always be with the basketball. It has to be kind of organic. And like I said, I had a great group. They kind of hit it off on their own, which was easy for me. But they're great.
Getting into the profession, when was it in college? When did you feel that calling, or was it through a conversation with somebody or a mentor that you felt like, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I want to give back, and I want to be a leader in basketball?
Yeah, it actually took me to get out of basketball and not do anything with it. So when I got back from England, I got a regular job. I was working at Verizon because I needed some money. I was back at home living with mom, and I was working at Verizon and did that for about almost a year. And I was like miserable. I wasn't working out, wasn't coaching. I was just going to work and coming home, going to work and coming home. And made a lot of money, but I just didn't feel fulfilled. I knew I was missing something. So I called my old AAU coach, Arnie Morris. Arnie Morris has been coaching the Carolina Flames, which is a Nike EYBL AAU team in North Carolina. And I said, hey, I got to get in the gym. He said, come on. So went to a practice, started training some girls, and we were actually the girls were really, really good. Some of those girls moved on to like Carolina, Duke, some of the top programs in the nation. And just being able to be in a gym with that level of talent was like, I miss it. So that's kind of what sparked my interest to get back into the profession. And, he kind of gave me some pointers on, apply for GA positions, internships or whatever you can do to get your name out there. And I did so. And it took maybe about 5 or 6 months to get some traction. I heard a million no's. And then finally, Coach Callan is who I ended up connecting with. And they had an opening. So came up for an interview. And then after that, it was all she wrote.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here, a little bit of rapid fire. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. So besides basketball, what other sport do you gravitate to?
Ooh. Oh, man. Ooh. I'm not doing so good right now. Rapid fire.
That's why it's rapid fire.
Let's say soccer.
Soccer. Okay. Good. Favorite player currently in the WNBA, and then favorite player of all time?
Brianna Stewart, Cappie Pondexter.
Favorite part of growing up in North Carolina?
Saturday afternoons watching Duke basketball.
Favorite part of living in New York now?
The food.
The food. Okay. So what's your go-to order for food? Type of food?
Man, depends on the mood. Italian, I'm definitely getting a slice, or I'm going down to get some tacos. Just depends on the mood. I love to eat, so.
Mm-hmm. You're at a new spot, new part of New York now. You're on Long Island, right? Talk about what the campus is like, the campus experience, the campus feel at Stony Brook, and really have you tried any places off campus yet? Any good places that have stuck?
No, I haven't, not yet. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, when I got hired, I went out to Africa, but the campus is beautiful, very serene, a lot of greenery around, quiet. A lot of new buildings. They're doing a lot of construction, which is great. And a lot of red, definitely a lot of red, but it's amazing.
That's what I love to hear. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Congrats on winning 2023 AfroBasket with Nigeria. Congrats on taking the new assistant role at Stony Brook. And we're looking forward to seeing what Stony Brook does in this upcoming season, what the staff does, and watching you continue to blossom over the years as the national coach, as well as here in the college game. So this is just the beginning. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.